Zero income tax, interest-free loans, free education. The utopia that is promised by communism is somehow found in an absolute monarchy, Saudi Arabia. This is made possible thanks to a fierce tectonic plate collision that occurred 50 million years ago, surfacing the land that is now the Middle East. This event locked up dead remains of ocean microorganisms underneath the land, which transformed into oil and gas. Saudi Arabia has more than 15% of the world's total oil reserves, and the country's economy prospered by exporting crude oil worldwide. The oil sector accounts for 87% of Saudi's budget earnings and 42% of GDP. Oil is a blessing and a curse. The coupling between oil and the economy is lethal because it means that the country's survival is at the mercy of the market. With global demand for oil waning, the country's largest importer partner, China, undergoing an EV revolution, and oil supply gradually depleting, the country's economic outlook is struggling. The Crown Prince and Prime Minister, Mohammed bin Salman, knows this too.
فإذا استمرينا بنفس الحال ما في شك مع نمو عدد السكان بيأثر هذا الشيء بعد 20 سنة أو 10 سنوات.
Can he outpace the market in decoupling the kingdom's economy from oil? In 1932, after years of uniting warring tribes into one nation, Abdulaziz ibn Saud proclaimed himself king and established the modern Saudi Arabia, an Islamic state with Arabic as its national language and the Holy Quran as its constitution. Ibn Saud witnessed the discovery of oil in neighboring regions and appreciated the importance of oil. During World War I, the British Royal Navy transitioned from coal to oil in the early 90s, and Germany's shortage of oil supply debilitated their capacity to produce aircrafts and engines. After the pilgrimage numbers fell by 50% during the Great Depression in the 1920s, Ibn Saud needed to find an alternate source of income for the kingdom. In 1933, Saudi Arabia signed a concession agreement with the Standard Oil Company of California, establishing an intermediary company that is the modern-day Aramco. And in 1938, efforts were paid off as oil was struck in the eastern region at Danam No. 7, now named Prosperity Well. From then on, Saudi Arabia's crude oil production grew and grew. The Saudi government also started buying back Aramco from the Americans, and the company became 100% Saudi state-owned in 1980. Today, Saudi Arabia is the world's largest oil producer in the world after the US. Oil is found everywhere in the modern world, not just to fuel your car, but also plays an essential role in everyday products. Plastics, clothes, phones. By the 1950s, oil had replaced coal to be the cheapest primary energy source in the world. 5 major oil producers, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, and Venezuela and Kuwait, united with the goal to gain more profit by controlling oil production and prices. They formed OPEC, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, effectively a cartel. OPEC proved to be a powerful weapon to counter British and American influences. In 1973, to punish the US for supporting Israel during the Yom Kippur War, OPEC imposed a total oil embargo for 6 months. Oil prices shot up by 300%, and the US experienced its first fuel shortage and had to impose fuel rationing. Armed with more than 50% of one of the world's most demanding fuel reserves, by controlling the supply of oil, OPEC could heighten or lower oil prices. Unlike countries like Nigeria and Venezuela, which has heavy oil that require more expensive extraction and processing techniques, Saudi Arabia is blessed with plentiful high-value oil that is cheap to extract and transport. The House of Saud became the richest royal family in the world with an estimated net worth of $1.4 trillion. However, accumulating wealth from oil is only a good idea when there is strong demand for oil, and the transport sector is moving into electrification. China, the largest Saudi oil buyer, has achieved record uptake in EV numbers. The International Energy Agency forecasts that global oil demand is expected to peak and plateau by 2030, with China's demand to peak in 2027. Amid decreasing oil prices, Saudi Arabia's economy is becoming increasingly precarious. A nation dependent on one commodity is extremely unstable, and Saudi Arabia desperately needs a transition. Vision 2030 is Saudi Crown Prince's master plan to diversify the country economically, socially, and culturally. The plan is to boost tourism, renewable energy, and manufacturing, reducing the country's dependence on oil. The country is constructing a city the size of Belgium from scratch. NEOM. You have the line, a planned smart city in NEOM, a 170-kilometer long city that is designed to have no cars or carbon emissions. An entirely glass mirror exterior with the goal of all basic services within a 5-minute walking distance. Chojana, a luxurious ski resort in the middle of the desert. Oxagon, a clean manufacturing ecosystem floating on the Red Sea coast near global shipping lanes, pinpointed as the ideal base for the factories of the future. However, these modernist projects have caused major cost overruns, constructing complexities, and wasted opportunities from not investing in proven infrastructures and services. Criticisms have been mounting that the Saudi government seems to be enthralled in these vanity projects and the desire to achieve global recognition, rather than assessing the actual practicalities of these projects. Saudi Arabia is under the resource curse. The country's abundant oil supply has stunted the country's economic growth in other sectors and caused ineffective governance. The Saudi government has 4 years left to realize Vision 2030, and the country's future remains uncertain. The founder of Dubai supposedly once said, "My grandfather rode a camel, my father rode a camel, I drive a Mercedes, my son drives a Land Rover. His son will drive a Land Rover, but his son will ride a camel." Could this be Saudi Arabia's future?